These young children are stuck and stateless. They fled Afghanistan. They're stranded here in northern Pakistan. But all that matters to Jan, their father, is how they get out of here.
There is no help in Afghanistan. Everything is just seized. All the British High Commission and every foreign help has just been seized at the moment.
Jan is a British citizen, a Glasgow cab driver on a journey from hell. They saw the final flights leave Kabul. They saw an impossible crowd ahead of them.
These are the kids waiting to evacuate.
How do you push through that when your youngest is just a week old?
The way to Baron camp is just onto the right.
They were heading for the British processing site at the Baron Hotel.
They're not letting anyone in. I don't know. What's the next step? What should we do? See, it's dangerous to go ahead.
Jan shows us papers from the Foreign Office
Jan, I'm a British national.
listing his wife and children who are Afghan nationals, all, he says, invited to the hotel to evacuate.
We were there like for hours and hours every single day, but it was useless.
They never got near a British official to present their papers. Then his wife and children's documents were lost. The family entangled in this horror when a suicide bomber killed 70 people outside the airport.
When the explosion happened, we were just like inches away from the explosion. It just went dark. Everything just went like under the smoke. We just seen the dead bodies and the injured people. Even my kids were witnessed at that stage.
What happened next, of course, the Taliban triumphant, the world turned upside down for millions of Afghans. Jan's Kabul-based family among them. Wajid is his eldest son. I miss school, I miss my friends, he says. I want to go to Scotland and live with my dad there. I haven't been there, but I've seen it on TV. Jan's home is here in Glasgow. He's still paying a lease on his taxi. 16 years since fleeing the Taliban the first time around. This is where Jan and his family want to be. And we've seen his many desperate pleas with the British authorities. And yet, after all these weeks, they are no clearer about how they reach the safety of the UK. Emails from the UK government told Jan what he already knew, that the evacuation had ended. On the airwaves, the UK ambassador offered some hope.
It's time to close this phase of the operation now, but we haven't forgotten the people who still need to leave. We'll continue to do everything we can to help them.
There are people we still need to bring back.
The UK Defence Secretary vowed to help those who could escape Afghanistan. In mid-November, Jan's family could wait no longer.
This is that the Taliban are looking for emails and foreign emails and all the communication from outside the country, so these people are just getting battered and tortured.
They made it here to Pakistan, dodging Taliban checkpoints, but hit with new worries. Would they be thrown in jail for crossing the border illegally without documents? Jan says the British High Commission in Islamabad has been useless. I just
strongly appeal from the British government just to look at our cases.
The Foreign Office tells us after helping 15,000 people to safety, it's doing all it can so British nationals and eligible Afghans can leave the country. It says 20,000 people will be offered a new life in the UK through the Afghan Citizens Resettlement Scheme. The scheme is not yet open. So while Scotland has adopted Jan and he's adopted its accent,
my wee daughter Lena, she wants to study further. I'm sure if I send them back to Afghanistan, the Taliban will not let her to study further.
The family can only dream of new schools and fresh starts in Glasgow.
There was a big room on the ground floor.
There was a promise, says Jan, that has yet to be honoured.
Outside the house.
Kieran Jenkins reporting. Well, despite the Defence Secretary saying that in some cases going to a third country would be a, quote, better option, we understand there is no longer a process allowing people who entered Pakistan illegally after November the 5th to apply for legal status, something the Foreign Office say they are working with the Pakistan government to address. The Foreign Office also says it will continue doing all it can to secure safe passage to help British nationals and eligible Afghans to leave the country. Well, I've been speaking to the Conservative MP Tom Tugendhat, who's chair of the Commons Foreign Affairs Committee. In the light of our recent report about Jan and his family, I asked him if he thought it was absurd that they were denied help by the British Embassy because they'd missed that November deadline.
Well, look, there's a whole series of people who we know need help. And I know that the High Commission is doing what they can. What we need really here is a single point of contact and a single person of clarity in the Foreign Office to make sure that we're getting people out. And those entitled, whether they were entitled before the 15th of August or whether their entitlement was only recognised after the closure of the British military response at the end of August, we need to be supporting those who stood by us as they supported us.
But there is this November the 5th date that they should have alerted the British Embassy by, but that obviously is very difficult to achieve in such chaos.
Well, it wasn't always possible for everyone to follow, I'm afraid, the whims and bureaucracies of the British state. Sometimes life got in the way, or indeed the Taliban in many cases. And when you remember that many people we're talking about fought with us enormously courageously or stood with us at moments of great opposition and then had to smuggle their families across borders over dark rivers at night, these are not people who are seeking to gain an unfair advantage or in order to or trying to game the system. These are people to whom we owe a duty of care, and I look forward to hearing tomorrow how the Foreign Office will be recognising that duty and supporting these people.
Well, who's going to step in if we don't?
Well, that indeed is a very important question, and one of the major reasons why we must, because many people have already been murdered by the Taliban, those who stood with us, those who fought side by side with us, many of those who were told to go home and promised by the new Taliban regime that this was, that there was now an amnesty. It's complete rubbish. They've been murdered in their homes or indeed dragged into the street and executed like dogs.
Is there any other embassy prepared to look at this problem, or is it uniquely Britain's problem?
Look, we are responsible for those who worked with us, but there are many other embassies who are still working on this problem. I was in the United States last week and spoke to various groups, including the State Department and in the veterans community, who are extremely active in supporting those who stood by them. And so we're not alone here. We're doing only what others in a similar position would and should be doing.
Do you have any confidence that your session tomorrow in Parliament will yield any sort of help?
Well, I hope very much that it will draw attention to what is an absolutely essential issue, not just of doing the right thing by those who did right by us, but also of our own national security. If we are not able to support allies in their time of need, do you think they'll stand with us when we need them?
Tom Tugendhat, thank you very much indeed for talking to us.
Thank you.